I was the third person to sign the lease in the mall, and I convinced the landlord to give me a 5-year lease that I signed in January, and I was supposed to open my store in June, and I didn't know what I was selling. So where do I go? So I flew to Hong Kong. I thought, wow, okay, there's some really great brands, great product here. And I just thought, you know what? They're coming to a new home, so why don't I bring a part of their home to their new home? So I started approaching different brands in Hong Kong to see whether they'd be interested to expand into Canada. I had an hour set up with the chairman, went to the meeting, he came in 3 minutes, he left. He left me in the room with his executives.
What was the lesson there?
Never take no for an answer, reinvent yourself, and just always learn. If I believed in how I approached them the first time was the right way, I would never evolve. Be persistent, be resilient, and keep pursuing your dream. You know, I had a grade 12 counselor sitting in front of me, literally sitting like this and telling me, you'll never be successful, David.
When did you have your first major setback?
First major setback was in 2007. The licensor that I licensed the brand from went into trouble. That set me back tremendously. My supply chain of my fall product was shut off completely.
Wow.
And that time I had 12 stores across the country, 6 in Vancouver, 6 in Toronto. I was in the Eaton Centre, Markville, Scarborough, Fairview Mall. I'm sitting there in July. I have no product coming. I've got diminishing product because I'm on sale now. I've got leases I've got to pay. I got rent to pay. So those were humbling experiences. Then I was approached by a company called Esprit.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jerome Dwight. If you want to know how to win in fashion and retail, today's show is a masterclass. David Liu is a pioneer in Canadian fashion and retail, having over 30 years leading well-known brands like Canadian Tire, Marks, and Sport Chek. Today, he's the owner and CEO of Kit & Ace, one of the fastest growing brands in Canadian retail. With a chic blend of luxury and function, Kit & Ace is growing its presence across the nation. At 18, with nothing but ambition, David cold called $1 billion company in Asia and pitched them on launching their brand in North America. They said yes, and just like that, he stepped into the Canadian fashion world as a true player. Today, along with being CEO of Kit & Ace and the founder of Unity Brands, he partners with Joe Mimram, the creator of Club Monaco and Joe Fresh. He's leading the charge to continually redefine and reinvent Canadian fashion. This episode is all about reinvention, taking bold risks before you're ready and discovering what it takes to truly build a brand that lasts for generations. If you're ready to learn how great retail brands are built, this one's for you. So let's go. So welcome to the show, David Liu. I am so thrilled to have you on because we've had a number of guests across all different industries, but a true pioneer and leader in retail fashion is a first for our show, and so we're honored to have you.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Jerome. I mean, I've seen the guests on your show. I'm very honored to be a part of this. Yeah.
So David's a very humble leader, but he's done a lot of very special things in the market. But one of the things he's really known for is, building retail brands that transcend and define a category. But I want to go back to early days for David. David, you had a very hard life growing up in Vancouver. Immigrant parents who were, not handed anything, working very hard. And so maybe let's go back to the start of it all and talk to me a bit about your experience, growing up in Vancouver.
Yeah, growing up in Vancouver, Vancouver is a beautiful spot. Of course, we were fortunate to grow up there. But my parents are immigrants from Hong Kong or southern China into Vancouver for many, many years. And one of my dad's first jobs was actually working on landscaping for Jimmy Pattison. And he got his inspiration from him as a business, an entrepreneur. And my father just went into business. And he, out of nothing, he came over with just basically a suitcase and started up grocery businesses, restaurant businesses, and here we are. I'm the youngest of four, and four of us was born in Vancouver as well, and we went through the entire family business, helping him, whether it's stocking goods, throwing away the trash, sweeping the floors, opening the door, and running the cash register.
Some valuable life lessons.
Oh my goodness.
Probably more to learn through working with a parent like that than even in the classroom, would you say?
Oh, for sure. Today I tell my kids you got to study and do well in school, but my school experience was quite different. Grew up in Vancouver, went through school, but I did not have a great experience. You can either say it was a motivator or you can let it weigh on you. But I had a grade 12 counselor sit in front of me, literally sitting like this and telling me, you'll never be successful, David. Yeah. So that didn't believe in the school system. So I thought, I've seen my dad's success hard. I wanted to be in retail like him, but I just thought, I'm creative. I love fashion. Why don't I go into fashion than to go into grocery, even though they both have shelf life, different shelf life. But so that's sort of where I went to.
That's pretty impressive and courageous because, going into fashion is not something the traditional path for a young Asian kid is. So what gave you the courage to, venture out into fashion?
Well, at that time, I was a huge fan of Le Chateau. Growing
As
up,
we all were growing up
we
in
all
Canada.
were, right? Like Herschel Siegel built a really great brand, and so I was a fan of Le Chateau. I always loved the clothes, so I figured, okay, well, fashion, what's missing? I love retail. I love working with people. What's that perfect mix? So I thought, why not just open a fashion store, right? So that really interested me. But really where it drove me was, okay, what fashion, right? There's trends, and I didn't know how to buy, I didn't know what product was right, but I knew I had fashion in my mind, so where do I go? And then through my travels with my mom to Hong Kong, I thought, wow, okay, there's some really great brands, great product here. Plus, in the late 80s, going into the early 90s, an influx of immigrants were moving into Canada from Hong Kong, and I just thought, what would be very interesting? They're coming to a new home. So why don't I bring a part of their home to their new home that they're very familiar with? So I started approaching different brands in Hong Kong to see whether they'd be interested to expand into Canada.
Right.
Yeah. So I just ventured out, and one of the things it really draws a lot of great memories is the fact that I'm thinking, how do I reach out to them? They're overseas. I had to jump on a plane, and I'd never been to Hong Kong at that time when I first started. So how do I do this? And I just relied on the good old fax machine. If you remember the screeching machines. Typewriter, up a letter, went through, at that time there was a Hong Kong Trade Development Council book with supplier names and contact information I got from the HKTDC. Went through it and like, oh, okay, I've got their facsimile number. I'm gonna do this letter and send it to him. And then, as you know, those machines are very slow.
Yes.
And to receive, I'm sitting there waiting for a response. It's not like an email. But I remember just waiting for a response. I sent out, I blanketed many, many letters. I remember one came in, it was like, second one came in, third one. The fourth one was my target.
Wow.
And they said, we'd be very interested to talk to you. What was my pitch line? My pitch line was, I'm David, I'm starting a fashion business here in Canada. I'm going to open a store in the first Asian-themed mall in Richmond, BC, which will be the gateway for Canada and welcoming new immigrants. I wanted to bring something from their home to their new home. So the company believed in that vision. So I flew to Hong Kong. Here's another story, right? I flew to Hong Kong. My very first meeting with them, I had an hour set up with the chairman, went to the meeting, I waited for him for 10 minutes. He came in 3 minutes, he left. He left me in the room with his executives. So I was thinking, oh, well, that meeting went well. Left the meeting with nothing and went home and I did a debrief with my friends. My friends says, what did you say? What did you wear? What did you do? Were you late? Went through a debrief and I said, well, I wore this jacket, wore a pair of jeans. And then, what? You don't wear a pair of jeans and a varsity jacket to a meeting. I'm like, oh, okay. That was mistake number one, I think. And so I did it again. Fax machine, had a proper letterhead. The company invited me back. So I went back. This time, the chairman came in. We had a great hour-and-a-half meeting. I was dressed in a suit and tie with great presentation, prepared it this time. And after an hour and a half, he gave me the exclusive distribution rights for North America. And at the end of the meeting, I asked him, do you remember me? He goes, no, I don't think so. I go, I was here a few months back. Anyways, that was how I got it.
So what was the lesson there for everyone watching? The perseverance, the ability to change the script and the approach. What did you take from that?
You know what I take from it is never take no for an answer. Reinvent yourself and just always learn. Like if I believed in how I approached them the first time was the right way, I would never evolve, right? And I always take no for an answer. Take no for an answer. Be persistent. Be resilient. Keep pursuing your dream. Yeah. You know, my dream was, and by the way, when all this was happening, I convinced the landlord, right? I was the third person to sign the lease in the mall, and I convinced the landlord to give me a 5-year lease that I signed in January, and I was supposed to open my store in June, and I didn't know what I was selling.
Wow.
Right?
That's incredible. And I think we were chatting earlier, you were 18 years old when you signed this lease. Yeah.
Actually, technically, 17, right? In January. My birthday is in April.
Yes.
So I turned 18 in April of that year. I was at a young age.
Yeah, so incredible amount of courage or, maybe a little bit of naivete, but actually being able to just execute. Most of us have great ideas, but the ability to take that step and actually sign the lease, that's a rare quality. Do you think you got that from your dad, watching your dad and your parents kind of being those entrepreneurs early on?
Oh yeah, because I've seen him sign, build, open, whether it's grocery. He had a few going on in Vancouver, restaurants, and I remember him just going for it because he had a family to look after, and I admired that. And I think I got a lot of the inspiration and drive through him. I think that was it.
So you sign the lease, you get into this new space, you're 18 years old. When did you have your first major setback, right? And what was it?
First major setback. Major setback was in, I remember these dates here, like 2006, 2007, when the licensor that I licensed the brand from went into trouble in Hong Kong. And that set me back tremendously because it was fashion has 2 seasons, or you can say 4 seasons, let's say 2 seasons. I was in the midst of September, not September, in July. I'm needing to change seasons in August, September. When problems happened, it was July, and my supply chain of my fall product was shut off completely. Wow. And that time I had 12 stores across the country, 6 in Vancouver, 6 in Toronto. I was in the Eaton Centre, Markville, Scarborough, Fairview Mall. Yeah, you name it. I was in those AAA malls, and I'm sitting there in July. I have no product coming in August, September. Wow. I've got diminishing product because I'm on sale now. I've got leases I've got to pay. I got rent to pay. So those were really tough moments.
That's a tough moment.
Tough moments. Plus, at the same time, Vancouver. But being openly working with our landlords, communicating with them, my bank, I was a young guy at that time, convincing them to support me. Eventually, I had to scale down, had to scale back. So my belief is I need to scale back in order to scale forward. So I scaled back. Eventually, I sold off some of the leases that I held. And then I ended up with 2 stores balanced. Another retailer came and said, I'd like to have your leases. So I said, you know what? I started designing private label, went into domestic manufacturing in Vancouver, sourced my fabrics, hired a design team with diminishing cash flow because of all the liabilities. And I thought, you know what? If this guy is willing to pay for my leases of what I had, I can walk away with something. Let's do it. So I sold, and I took some time off.
Wow. That must have been a very hard decision to make.
Very hard.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I had the best sleep ever.
Yeah.
When I look back,
Yes. Yes.
But those were humbling experiences. And then I was fortunate enough a few months later, then I did some consulting on the side. Consulting wasn't for me. I'm a retailer at heart. I like the action. Then I was approached by a company called Esprit out of Hong Kong. So that brought me, I was thinking, okay, well, this is interesting because there's 35 stores in Canada, fashion, great brand. I can use other people's money to build a business. So why don't I do that? So that's my corporate life.
Yeah.
So I became an entrepreneur with an entrepreneurial
But you had that
DNA.
entrepreneurial DNA to
Yes.
bring to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great. So you reinvented yourself, and you got into Esprit, and walk me through how then you got to Kit & Ace, and now Kit & Ace is such a cool brand.
Yeah.
If there was a term to use, I would say cool. Most of my young tech entrepreneurial staff here love the brand. So tell me how that evolved into Kit & Ace.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, being entrepreneurial in different corporations, whether it's Esprit from a global perspective, and then I went through other apparel companies. Right before my last corporate role was with Canadian Tire. A bit of from small startups to now this $15 billion juggernaut. Having the opportunity to work with some great people at Canadian Tire, and with a specific focus on marks on the marketing side, and then taking on Sport Chek side.
Yeah.
It was great because it had e-com, had marketing, brand building. And quite frankly, I believe in building a business, you need those elements, right? Because you're trying to tell the story of why people should buy from you. And I love marketing side and building a brand, but always inside of me is I want to get back at it, to have something on my own, build something. Thankfully I had a very trusting wife who's been with me now for 30 years.
Congratulations.
Right? Yeah, thank you. Congratulate her too. But she stuck with me, stuck through it all, and very supportive. And so when I have 2 older kids, and when I got to a moment where, because I had some investments in other businesses on a passive way, and I saw an opportunity I would leave Canadian Tire and be with a partner to acquire a mining company out of Calgary that mines a 71 million year old fossil that is now a gemstone found in one part of the world, which is Lethbridge, Alberta. I don't know anything about mining, but I think I know how to market a product and build a product and sell it. So that was back into more of a entrepreneurial setting, getting into there, investing and building. And I thought, I had my sights on other investments, and I think, okay, mini PE, right? Let me try to get involved with other businesses. So in conversations with a friend of mine at Kit & Ace, they were looking for investment and looking at alternative options. Just through a coffee one day, and I just said, well, why don't we look at acquiring you? Because I was looking at another brand in Vancouver, and I'm drawn to significantly to Kit & Ace as a brand, and that started the conversation of let's explore what we can do together, right? And that was in that was in late 2022. And then 23 came around and we got more serious in conversations. And at that time, well, it was founded by Chip Wilson and family at Kidneys. And apparently Chip put the deal on hold for 30 days. And I thought, okay, when that happens, what's going to happen? I don't know, right? And then the time came and says, okay, let's proceed. So it was great. And then I called Joe. Joe's a great, he's one of the fashion leaders. Yeah, Joe Mimran. I had him sign an NDA. He goes, why do you want me to sign an NDA? I go, well, I don't want you to steal the deal from me, right? He had a good chuckle. He's a great guy.
Yes.
And then we met and we had a good conversation. And he also saw the excitement and the opportunity with the brand.
Yes.
And he pitched me. He goes, I want to be a part of this. What do you want me to do, right? So we jokingly said, oh, I guess I'm the dragon now, right? That was a really good conversation.
Yeah.
And then at that time, then we decided, okay, we're going to become partners with this. So then he had another business partner named Frank Ricchetti. So the three of us partnered together and we pursued this opportunity. We closed it almost, well, you think about July 10th today, is 2 years ago, right?
Wow.
And so we believe in the brand. There's, Chip and family has done a great job in terms of establishing a really great brand. And we just saw the white space where, if we get the product disciplines right, the branding right, the marketing right, this brand will have a lot of legs. Yeah.
What a great evolution and reinvention, multiple reinventions in your journey. It's always comfortable being in corporate life, but I get the sense that, once you've been an entrepreneur, you crave that.
You crave that adrenaline.
Yeah.
I know some people, you're adrenaline junkie. I go, well, I like the action.
Yes. And what better partner than Joe Mimran?
Oh, yes.
Fashion powerhouse along with yourself. I can't help but imagine the kind of ideas that you guys have been working through in the past few years to develop Kidneys, and it's certainly now on the Canadian map as a great brand category. Talk to me about the brand. What does it represent? Where's your vision for Kidneys? Yeah.
Well, we didn't want to stray away from the DNA of the brand, which was founded 10 years ago. It was always be built around technical apparel. Technical meaning using fabrics that enabled you to perform, relax, work in day to night, right? Like a 9 to 12. And the ultimate thing was for easy care, right? Because we all don't have a lot of time, and we don't want to take it to the dry cleaners. We don't want to wait for the washing machine to finish drying. Like, it has to be easy. That was the premise, and we carry that into our vision for the reinvention of the brand. So technical aspect of our product still remains top priority, because we feel that when the customer feels our fabric, they love it. And that's when conversion happens. So we spend a lot of time looking in sourcing fabrics, but we updated with Joe and the design team, together with Frank, who's very strong on the operational sourcing side. We redesigned completely men's and women's. Men's, we just tweaked it, add colors, add new different fits, but women's was losing a lot of market share in the past. And we figured, look, if we win with women, we're going to win more with men, right? So we had to get the women's right. So when we bought the business in July 2023, technically your spring is pretty booked.
Right.
Spring 24 is booked.
Mapped out, yeah.
What we did was we canceled all of our orders for spring 24. We started with women's, we canceled that. Then when we redesigned the women's, we loved how women's looked, and then we hated how men's look. So then we decided, I would literally remember that meeting with Joe beside me. I was like, okay, now men's used to be like this, women's here. Now it's kind of like lopsided again. So we had to get men's right. So we redesigned both men's and women's to be relaunched in spring 2024.
Wow.
So we've gone more, so we call it technical fashion, less so than technical apparel. because we are in fashion, we do want to follow trend. We want to be on trend, but we're not going to be trendy, not like the fast fashions.
Right.
But quality product that has longevity, but again, DNA of comfort, ease, and really last long and affordable. So that's been our premise. We went through learnings, with a lot of operational changes that happen because we have a Vancouver office, and then we have our design office in Toronto, right? And then come early 2024, we bought Mastermind Toys as well, which was at that time a 48-store retail chain across Canada, right? And so we think toys, fashion, But at the end of the day, Mastermind had a distribution center that allows us operationally to get way more efficient. Versus using a 3PL, we brought it all in-house.
So a lot of synergies for...
A lot of synergies, right? So a lot of operational enhancements, improvements last year, a lot of new product design, elevation, a lot of learnings, a lot of new vendors that we're working with, and we're very pleased with how 2025 right now is shaping up.
Fantastic. Congratulations on taking a brand, consolidating with Mastermind. Was it Mastermind Toys?
Mastermind Toys,
A very unique strategy, but it makes perfect sense. And you are represented across Canada now. Is that right?
Yep. We have 11 stores right now. We're going to have 13 by the end of this year, and if some other things come up, we could have more. But we're targeted to have 13 stores by the end of this year. We just opened last week, brand new. I would say now a flagship based on what I've seen is at Eaton Centre.
Oh wow!
Our largest store to date, and we relocated. It was a pop-up, so but we moved to a newer location, and it really opened our eyes to, of course, retail. Location is important, but a presence and a branding experience is such an important aspect of our brand. Yeah.
We've heard that retail is one of the hardest industries to survive in, to play in. What are the lessons you've learned in, obviously not just surviving, but thriving in retail? What are the lessons that you, as one of the retail experts in Canada, would want to share with our audience?
Well, your first comment, retail is challenging. Retail is fun. No, you know what? Retail is it forces you to think creative. Of course, it's very calculated, right? You got a lot of fixed costs. You got a lot of commitments to make ahead of time because you're producing, designing, and buying a product that is 5 to 6 months down the road. Right. And in between, consumers can always change, will change. So just keeping up with ever-changing consumer demands, tastes, post-COVID, during COVID, it really rapidly changed consumer behavior. So how to stay on top of it. I think for us, as a retailer, we constantly have to innovate, and we constantly have to keep moving. It's not like, okay, our DC is established, our supply chain is established. We're always stress testing and challenging those systems, whether they are as efficient and is it as effective in a changing consumer world. So we have to change along with it. So we're always innovating, we're always changing, always moving.
I think it's one of the unique qualities of high-performing founders, CEOs, the ability to know when to disrupt yourself, in not getting caught in the, inertia of the past.
Yes.
When you look at the health of Canadian retail, we've seen Hudson Bay now go through its challenges. Unfortunately, you've got a lot of foreign entrants coming in, foreign brands playing in the Canadian market. How strong is the grassroots Canadian fashion industry? What's your take on that?
Very strong. I think with this whole movement, of course, with Canadiana is very strong. Look, there's a lot of great Canadian brands still here. It's unfortunate what happened at the Bay, but the Bay was also like an aggregator, not an aggregator, but it was featuring a lot of different brands, right? But the storefront said HPC. But as standalone, there's a lot of great Canadian brands. There's still Reitmans, there's Roots, there's Simon's out of Quebec, right? Doing some exceptional work. Aritzia, you know, Brian's been a good friend, and watching him
Great
grow
brand.
is awesome, right? And then you look at Lulu, right? Lululemon. So there's still space for Canadians, and yeah, I think there's a lot more other coming up, right? Like Monos, luggage brand out of Vancouver, really coming up as well. And so, as well as there's new entrants, right? So Canadiana is very, very strong. And the good thing is a lot of global companies are coming in. We strive with them, right? We work alongside with them. We complement each other.
So it's more partnership opportunities. How important is the e-com play in retail? How much focus or effort are you putting into direct to consumer, and especially with AI now coming in and causing more disruption?
Right.
How are you thinking about those? Or are you making any investments on that side of the fence?
Oh yeah, as much as we're investing in physical retail, we're investing in e-com. Because now both, you can't run one individually. It has to be all connected. Because we find a lot of our guests, they research online, pre-shop online, and then they fulfill in the store. Because at the end of the day, they also want to touch, feel, and experience our product, experience our atmosphere. So it's really seamless. So we're actually investing in e-com from a content perspective. We want to tell our story better. We want, it's not just a transactional portal, it's supposed to be a storytelling portal, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The importance of speed, especially in an industry as dynamic as retail, where you're fighting for every quarter, every season. How do you build a culture of speed in your organization, and how do you foster that while they're still making wise and strategic decisions?
You know what? A bit of it's gut, right? Well, gut comes from experience, but also. But I love the saying, right? Even with 80% of the information, just make a decision and run with it. And then we'll figure it out as we go along.
So I want to turn to some of your personal values and beliefs. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about what a CEO or a founder does?
That we can sit on a yacht and not do much. Oh gosh.
The job is easy.
Yeah, the job is easy, and you got a lot of people you can delegate. No. You know, actually, the other day someone was saying, "Hey, you're the CEO. You can take the summer off." I go, "No," because you know what CEO means? It's like Chief Everything Officer, right? You got to stay on top. My values, I don't micromanage. If I do, I don't intend to. I think of it as all I want to be is informed, right? And no surprises, because we're adapting and moving so quickly every day. I just want to be informed, and that's how we move quickly. We keep everyone informed. You know, it used to be the whole email. I'll email you, and the whole unread email.
Right.
Now we're on Teams, and a whole bunch of unread Teams.
Unread Teams.
Okay, what else? Now there's AI, but we are very tight bunch that we collaborate with each other. You know, sometimes do we ruffle feathers? Yeah, we ruffle feathers because we want each other to be better, right? And Joe, Frank, my partners, they do that. They do that well, right? Because they want me to excel, and I vice versa. I want them to excel. So we have a common understanding that we push each other.
And David, what are some of your personal habits and routines that you incorporate into your day to stay sharp? You're such a high performer, juggling so many ventures and initiatives. What do you do to stay on top of it all?
Well, one thing I should be doing is exercise more. Yeah, I gotta get back into it. No, you know what? In the morning, I have a routine. I wake up generally 4:30 in the morning, just automatic clock. I get up, grab a coffee, and I just start thinking about the day and visualizing how the day is going to be. I will start to have to get back into exercising, but yeah, I just take a breather and I go right into it. And I check my emails, I answer as much as I can, prioritize, peg whatever I need to deal with, and that's how I start my day, right? But I do try to find at the end of the day to shut off, head home, whether enjoy dinner. If my kids are back, we'll enjoy dinner together. And if I'm in Vancouver, my mom's in Vancouver, go and see her and visit her. That's try to find balance in that way. Yeah.
David, looking forward, what's next for you? This has been an honor to have you on our show. A lot of your insights, I know, are going to benefit our audience. What can we look forward to hearing about you in the future?
I think I'll still be in retail. No, ultimately, I like to grow our brand with Kit & Ace, us as unity, because not just Kit & Ace, us as a group also own Tilly, Rise Little Earthlings, Joe has Gray Matter, and of course Mastermind Toys, right? And Cocoa Village is part of Mastermind Toys. So we love to grow these portfolio brands with strong Canadian heritage, and we'll see where it goes. That's I'm looking, like you said, retail 1 quarter at a time, 1 year at a time. I'm like 1 step at a time. Yeah. All I know is I just want to keep having fun in the industry.
Yeah. David, it's been an honor. I've learned a lot about the retail game, and you are a true pioneer, a true Canadian pioneer. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you. Thanks, Jerome. Thank you.